Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to another episode of A Coffee with Chris. I am so excited to be speaking with someone in my network that I am truly inspired by. But before I introduce them, I do, of course, as always, want to give a shout out to our charity partner, 𝗖𝗵𝗁𝗲. They help local people affected by cancer. Now, without further ado, let me introduce this man. Of course, it's Marcus Hemsley, co-founder of Fountain Partnership. These guys take risk out of digital marketing by forecasting upfront, then maximize ROI through compound marketing. Marcus, let's get stuck in. Let's do a two-footed challenge, to use a football analogy there. How can people spend less and make more revenue?
Two-footed challenge. Absolutely love it. Okay. So the chances are people are spending a certain amount of money on marketing. And the chances are they want to spend less because budgets are being squeezed all over the place. Where I think a lot of people are making mistakes is, you go on to LinkedIn and people are saying, do PR, do this, do SEO. We can do SEO as well, don't get me wrong. But to be honest, the quickest way to make money often is to look at the bottom of the funnel. So what I mean by that is increasing sales conversion rate and getting money and revenue from existing customers already. So the question I'll have for anyone is going, where are you putting your marketing budget? Probably in acquiring new clients, right? But could you take some of that money and put it into getting more from existing customers, upselling, cross-selling, winning back? People don't like to win back, but I've looked at some studies on this. It's fascinating. There's a guy called Dan Pfizer who runs Winback Labs, and he did a study, I think 44,000 businesses, and those have a win-back strategy and execute it, win back 33% of their lost clients over the last 12 months. So, Chris, you run a business as well. I'm sure you probably haven't lost any of your clients, but if you had, imagine what the value of winning a third of them back just from having a strategy and it's just reaching out to them, marketing to them. So so basically what I'm saying is you can actually use your marketing budget more effectively if you're actually using it to speak to people who have already given you money in the past, are giving you money, or people that you came second to in a pitch potentially, and you might want to, so it's reactivating people where there's already some level of trust. Because what the marketing budget's doing at the minute for most people is trying to create trust with complete strangers. They've never heard of you, never heard of your brand, you're trying to speak to them. And that's more expensive than activating money from people who have already got some level of like and trust in you. So it makes sense to often put money there. So that's how you can do more with less.
I love how you've not geeked me out there, Marcus, because I know that, you're genuinely one of the marketing masters I know in my network, and I know just how intelligent you are, and also the team at Fountain Partnership and all of the technical work that they do. And so it fascinates me to hear you kick off this conversation with actually something so seemingly basic, which is refreshing actually. And linked to that, Marcus, I wanted to ask you, take you sort of back to the beginning of the Fountain Partnership, perhaps. What was maybe the one marketing principle or marketing philosophy that changed your career and perhaps the trajectory of Fountain Partnership?
So I think the biggest mistake in marketing, and we still see it all the time today, is focusing on activities, not outcomes. So marketers, that we love talking about cool, shiny stuff to do, right? And it's fine because we need to do that stuff, but we need to actually look at the outcomes that people want, right? Like, for example, no one woke up this morning, like you didn't wake up this morning, Chris, and thought, you know what I really need is some Google ads or some SEO. You may have probably woke up this morning and thought, you know what, with my extra client, I'm doing pretty well. And that's the outcome you want. Yeah. So it's just a conversation on what's the fastest, most effective way to get the best client based on profit and lifetime value, like a dream client, not a bread and butter client. And that's all it is. So as soon as you begin with the end in mind and go, well, what's the outcome we want, and work backwards, and then try and go, what's the probability of success on each of these different options? That's what changes it. I call it goals-based marketing, outcomes-focused marketing, rather than activities-based. But unfortunately, if you look at most of the content on LinkedIn, you're not going to see many outcomes. You just see, let's try lots of activities. And that, I think, is where money gets wasted, because people try lots of things and it's a bit haphazard, and they just try and figure out what might work. And of course, you need some testing potentially, but I think they fall foul of the 𝗄𝗶𝘁𝗵𝗵 point that half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. Trouble is, I don't know which half. Well, with performance marketing, at least, you can measure which half. So that for me, that was fundamental, and it allowed us to offer something a bit different. So when I'd first sit with people, when we first started Found, I'd say, look, like, Chris, what does success look like? How many customers do you want? How much you want to pay for those customers? Because really what you care about, you want the outcome, right? People don't buy a drill, they buy a 9mm hole. You know, I don't necessarily buy a car, I buy the ability to get places.
Yes.
You know, I don't buy a mattress, I buy a good night's sleep. So you work from the outcome and then work backwards. And that's, for me, that's something, if more marketers did that, I think less money would be wasted and more campaigns would be more effective.
And I remember talking to you, that's brilliant stuff, absolute gold there, Marcus. And I remember talking to you ages ago now about how marketers had become almost one of the most least trusted professions actually out there. And I actually think above and beyond all of that stuff, you can actually just massively improve your reputation, your trust, your credibility by being really honest and upfront about that. And that's something that I've incorporated with Reeve Social Media, thanks to yourself, Marcus, is actually saying to the prospective client up front, we don't just say yes to everything. You don't need to be on TikTok, on Snapchat, if it's not right for your audience right now, if they're not hanging out there, you know, go for the hanging fruit, try that methodology. And actually what you've said there, Marcus, is classic, isn't it, for lots of business owners, and I have a lot of empathy for them, because marketing can be a real, I guess, mine of all of these traps that they don't want to fall upon. And they have that, what I would call, magpie mentality, where they go for that shiny activity, like you say, Marcus. So I'm really, really pleased that you brought that up. And Marcus, what would you say are your favorite marketing principles, perhaps your favorite marketing piece of philosophy that you could impare upon our audience today?
Am I allowed one, or you know, I've got a few.
I mean, do you know what? I'll challenge you. One.
Just one. Okay, then I'll start with the fundamentals of marketing. There's the golden triangle. That's not the golden triangle in Norwich, don't worry. It's right message, right person, right time. That's all it is. That's all the game is. And I mean, seriously, not like, oh yeah, I think this person might like it. No, genuinely. So I don't know. What was my problem this morning? I woke up this morning and I needed an iron, and I'm not staying in my house, as you can probably tell. And I looked at my phone to ring reception to order an iron to, you know, iron these clothes, and the little like bit of card that tells you which number to press to get housekeeping had disappeared. So I had something appeared in front of me on LinkedIn at that point saying, here's the button to press, you know, to get housekeeping, to get your iron. And it's a really stupid example, but that's timely, that's relevant, it solves the problem I have right now. Of course, my response to that was just to press all the buttons and speak to loads of random people around the hotel to figure out when I got to housekeeping. But what I'm saying is that, like, you know, you don't want to be advertised to curry at breakfast. You know, you don't, you know, like, you need to just think about the right time and the right person, like, you know, especially in B2B. Like, you know, we're doing stuff in Fountain. When you speak to marketing managers or founders of companies where they're in sectors that we've worked with before, we've solved a very clear and painful problem, and it's getting in front of them in the right way at the right time, and that's it. So you always go back to those fundamentals, and a lot of marketing's just shoved out in front of anyone at the wrong time, and the message is crap as well, you know. So I talked about time, I've talked about the market, but then the message is the big thing, right? Because I'm going to slide onto another principle. Like, what's the thing you care about the most, Chris, in the world? Like, you know, what's important to you when you're thinking about stuff in the morning, and you know, what do you care about? Like, if you're reading posts online, here's another way of putting it. Question for you: what's your favorite LinkedIn post that you care the most about engagement every day? What's the one post you go, oh, you know, which has got engagement? There's millions of posts on LinkedIn. There's probably one post that you think, oh, what's got the most engagement? Who's commented on it? Which post is it?
Well, I love how you turn.
It's going to be yours, right?
No, of course, I get that, and actually, it's the one that, you know, I'm perhaps sharing the most value on, right? And that's where so many people get it wrong. And I'm so pleased you brought up that golden triangle there, Marcus. I love that analogy, and it's so true. And people often forget that, don't they? It happens all the time with organic social media. It actually can often be the right message, but it's actually just pushed out on the complete wrong platform where their audience aren't hanging out, right? And the right time is also so important. I speak to people all the time, Marcus, about this. I say, when are you posting on social media? And they say, when I get to my desk at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, I'm like, are your audience actually going to be online at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? You know, you need to be thinking about when you're actually posting your content. So I'm so pleased that you brought up that favorite philosophy or principle of yours for sure. Marcus, which marketers would you say have inspired you the most? I know that you've of course, when I was consulting work with Fountain, I met a few myself through you. What maybe, who are your 3 favorite marketeers of all time and why?
Okay, well, the first one's got to be 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗶𝘀, because this man has been, if you don't know 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗀, brilliant name for starters. I think it's a name that he created for tax reasons, but that's probably not me giving him much kudos and credit there. We love him. He's been copywriting since the 1950s. He had an ad agency that he sold to David 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀. He's probably my second favorite after 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗶𝘀. And yeah, he's just been doing it for 60, 70 years. And the thing I love about him is when I've spoken to him, this man just lives and breathes marketing. He obsesses over the greats. He studies like ad campaigns that did really well. He's constantly writing copy. Even in his late 80s, he's writing copy every day, thinking of ideas to persuade. And it's just what I loved about it, because I learned under him. I learned my skills of direct sales copywriting under him. So he's very much a performance marketer. He wants to measure everything, wants to improve it. But then the way he writes, it's not, I say this with kindness to my friends across the pond, it's not American and pushy, it's polite. You know, it's direct and polite. And it's saying, Chris, you know, if you're like most of my customers, the chances are you probably have these problems. And if you're like most of the ones I work with, you probably want a solution that looks like X, Y, and Z. That might not be the case for you, but I'm reaching out to you in case, on the off chance it is. So it's direct, whereas an American bit of copy would be like, hey, Chris, buy this or you're an idiot, and you've got 5 minutes and the clock's ticking down. And, you know, trust me, I've written copy for Americans and I've struggled with that, because Americans do like that to the point. They think they like the forthrightness of it. But 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗶𝘀 just writes well for different audiences. I'm sure he can write good American copy as well. So yeah, check out 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗶𝘀. He's got loads of resources. David 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀 has to be number 2, right? I mean, he's the godfather of marketing, setting up agencies. Like Confessions of a Madman is a brilliant book. The joke about the thing I always like is just, I like how bold and brash he was. Apparently Time magazine wrote a cover saying David 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀, a genius, ? And he sued them for libel for the question mark. Like, that's brass balls, isn't it? Like, and that obviously the story of him suing them got so much more PR, because it's like, yeah, to be on the front of Time magazine is brilliant. They put like, is David 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀 a genius ? It's like, no, there's no question mark. I'm suing you for that. That's libelous. That's defamatory. Right, that's it. And then that got like, so, but it's just that sort of yeah, I guess boldness that's sometimes lost, especially in digital marketing as well, especially in B2B.
And your
Go on.
No, your third? Who's your third?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were jumping in with a point about that. My third, I've got loads to choose from. I'll probably go with Perry Marshall, although I want to go shout out to my friend Mark 𝗖𝗵𝗂 as well, because he's written a brilliant book called Boring to Brave. So anyone in B2B marketing needs to read that book. My favorite chapter is entitled "Most B2B marketers think they sound like Han Solo, but actually they sound like 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗍." So, and again, the thing he says to B2B marketeers, look, like, I know you sell a professional service, you can't be too wacky, right? You can't be Virgin Atlantic or something. But if you're if you like scale of 1 to 10 with wackiness and boldness with your brand, just like, even if you're a 1, just go to a 2, because that's going to be more than all your competitors. So maybe Mark 𝗖𝗵𝗂, but then Perry Marshall's written a fucking brilliant book called, sorry for swearing at this time of day, a brilliant book called 80/20 Sales and Marketing, which had a big impact on me as well. So I put 4 in. I've broken the rules, Chris. So yeah, those are my 4. I'd love to get a woman in there as well. There are some good female marketeers as well, but yeah, those are my 4. Those are my 4 faves. So there we are.
Really, really good stuff, Marcus. And I know how well read you are. And if anyone's watching or listening and wants to read up on some really, really cool but also critical marketing books, then reach out to Marcus, because he certainly knows his books for sure. Marcus, I know that you're a big fan of an advocate of compound marketing, right? And making sure that all areas of the digital marketing sphere are working effectively with each other. Why is that? And also linked to that, if you don't mind me asking a selfish question, why do so many business owners get their organic social wrong? Because it's obviously at the top of that funnel, and I'm fascinated to understand your opinion of organic social media marketing, as well as why you're so fascinated by compound marketing, full stop.
So I'll do it in reverse order. So the reason social media marketing fails at the top of the funnel is it doesn't grab people's attention. It's not good enough. It's boring. There's too much noise out there, so it needs to make them feel something. So basically, the game of grabbing attention is all about hooks, right? It was our friend Michael Simon calls them value hooks, but it needs to be fun stopping, right? People are scrolling very fast. So you need to grab them with a headline and an image that makes them stop. So it normally has to have things that are counterintuitive, that is something that because there's a part of our brain, I don't know, I'll call it like the novelty neuron, right? And it's basically looking at stuff and thinking, how is this different from anything I've seen before? Now, if it's a political view or a view that Norwich played well at the weekend, then I'll like it, but I won't really engage much. They did play well. We can go on to that later. But ultimately, most content and most posts are dead on arrival because most people don't think of the hook. They spend 99% of their time thinking about the thing that people will read later, the bit below the fold, the bit in the article or whatever. But it's got to be a hook, and it can't be an annoying hook like "I almost died yesterday." ... Like I might open it if I care about you, but I think one little hack, if I may, Chris, that I've seen that works quite well is obviously a lot of people on social media who don't know me, they're not going to stop if Marcus Hemsley, if it's an irritating hook, who the fuck's Marcus Hemsley? But if I say, here's something that Mark Ritson, who's a famous marketeer, said, and I think is wrong. I had a viral post last year for that. Or here's something that Warren Buffett said, or Richard Branson, or Elon Musk. So what I'm doing is I'm using an advocate of someone they already recognize. Straight away, they're, oh, I like Elon, or I don't. It doesn't matter. I feel something about Elon. And then I have a provocative like hook statement. You're more likely to grab their attention that way. The point being is that it's just not good enough. That's why it fails at the top of the funnel. As Dave Trott, another brilliant marketer, says, the average person in the UK sees 1,000 ads a day and probably more posts. How many do you remember from yesterday? Like Chris, how many posts do you remember from yesterday? Right.
I mean, God knows how many posts I saw yesterday, particularly in my world of running a social media agency.
Yeah.
Marcus, I love what you've said there about the novelty neuron. I think that's absolutely brilliant, and we always help people. I was doing a LinkedIn talk at an S&P Connect event at the Assembly House in Norwich a few weeks back now, and one of the key principles I was telling people that wanted to kickstart their LinkedIn content is you've got to put your content through the attention, engage, value filter system, right? Because it doesn't matter how clever, how smart, or whatever your content is that you want to say, because if you're not grabbing attention, it's not going to be read. So I'm so happy that you've kicked off with attention. And Marcus, tell me about compound marketing then, and why why are you so in bed with compound marketing?
Because I use a mixed martial arts analogy. It's like the Brazilian jiu-jitsu of, like it just works basically if you look at the data. So the mistake we all make, and it goes back to novelty as well. Like I think we like new and shiny. So everyone rings me up, they want leads, and that's fine. There's a cost to leads, and it's only really one way to grow a business. So I'm going to channel the amazing Neil Foley, who teaches this system. There's only 3 ways to grow a business. Right, you can increase the quality and quantity of leads, increase sales conversion rate, and increase customer lifetime value, upsells, cross sales, and more money from existing customers, more referrals, and that's it. And most businesses focus on the first one. They focus on getting leads. Here's the thing: I've studied the fastest growing businesses. You want to get that exponential growth, that hockey stick. You need all 3 compounding. So let me give you a really good example. So I was consulting with a friend of mine. She runs a consultancy, and she had a really good first year, right? She does public speaking training. I won't give you her name because it's her business numbers, but she did about 180 grand last year, and she wanted to do 400 next year. So she was asking Marcus, how do I get to 400k? I said, why is that? She goes, I want to beat my dad because he's got a consultancy as well. I was like, that's a cool thing, you want to beat your dad at, that's fine, whatever drives you. So I asked her, okay, how many she's like, I need to get loads more leads. Should I run Google ads or whatever? And it's strange because I actually advised her not to run Google ads, but I didn't think it made sense. So I said, well, how many leads are you getting a month? And she said, well, let's have a look. It's about 10. She's getting 10 leads a month, mainly from LinkedIn and social media, actually, Chris. Like, really good LinkedIn personal branding piece. Okay, fine. I then said, what's your sales conversion rate? And she didn't know. I was like, okay, that's really interesting. So we made her get out the spreadsheet, go through all the leads. She closes 30% of them. I was like, okay, so 3 in 10. She closes, like sort of 1 in 3. Fine. That could probably be increased. And I looked at like, what's the average order value, or how much is a client paying you? She's like, $5,000. I was like, okay. So the quickest way, actually, I mean, I could ask people watching, what would you do in this situation? What would you advise? But for me, the quickest sort of lever to pull is the sales conversion rate, because 7 people who really wanted her services are walking away and not buying. And it was so funny, Chris. All I did was just say to her, okay, well, like, let's have a look at your proposals and your sales process. For someone who does public speaking training, she does these beautiful presentations for the presentation, for the speeches, the gigs. But when she's sending out a proposal on a quote, it was like War and Peace. It was really dense and text heavy and boring as fuck, right? So we said, look, let's just shorten it. I'll give you like a template which basically says, like, here's your problem, here's how much it costs, and here's what you'll get back from it. And if you sell keynotes, there's an ROI piece as well. As a side note, she's done that, and since then her conversion rate's gone up to 50%. So doesn't need any more leads, but she's already massively increased the leads. And then I said, put your prices up. How do you compare to your customers? She goes, I'm sort of your competition. Sorry. She's like, well, I'm sort of in the middle. I was like, well, are you better than your competitors? Yeah, I'm much better. And charge more. So just by dialing those little bits up. But here's the kicker. Here's why I love compound. You're like, okay, Marcus, that's great. You by just playing what you already got, you did a bit better, and you hit the 400K. If she doubled all 3 of them, so if she got 20 leads a month, 60% sales conversion rate, 10 grand average order value, guess how much you make this year? She did 180K before.
I failed maths, so you're going to need to help me on that, my friend.
have a guess though. What would your gut say? You just double 3 of them, just double them. So you double, and they're all reasonable things to do. Like, it's not difficult, just to double.
I would go with over her dad's revenue target.
Yes, but how much? Come on, Chris. I'm not letting you off the hook here.
Blooming heck, Marcus.
You got to guess. What does your gut say? That's
800 grand.
You can bow out.
800 grand.
Say that. It's actually it's 1.44 million.
Wow.
So she can go from 180K to 1.44 million by just doubling all 3 of those. Here's the rub. She just doubles one of them, doubles the leads. She gets nowhere near that. Do you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't even get to her 400K. She just doubles the leads, right? She gets 180 times 2. Yeah. That's it, 360. That's all she gets. So that's the beauty of it. You double one of them, you get 360. You double 3 of them, you get 1.44 million. Isn't that interesting?
No, it is. And it's like, it's the maths that so many businesses, clearly myself included, don't bother to look into and actually fine tune and dial up. And I think that's absolutely fascinating. So it's good to hear why you love compound marketing so much. And Marcus as well, can you just give me a bit of a case study on that? Because I know that Fountain Partnership have done some absolutely incredible work, like ridiculously amazing work with various businesses over the years. Could you give me an example of how compound marketing has worked effectively with a Fountain client?
Yeah, absolutely. So I use one of my friend. It's a really simple thing. It's a small consultancy. Yeah, sure. It's straightforward. Yeah. The nice thing with digital marketing is even bigger funnels, right? It's even more of a dial up you can do. So if I just give you the outcomes, we helped scale a startup estate agent in 2014 called 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀. By 2016, we took them from 5 branches and they were struggling to 90, and they exited 15 million. We helped Trade Extensions, Gary Mansell's company. We helped them go from 2 million turnover to 6. They sold for 45 million. Cam and Hooper, that's where we won our Google Global Award for growing businesses online for. I don't know the exact figures of size, but we started working with them. They had about 4 staff. After 5 years, they're about 280. So that's basically any company you look at they've done 2 things. They've brought in lots of new revenue and then grown existing massively.
Yes.
So it's just compound. So it's just more and more new, more and more existing, and they add up. That's basically it.
And the point that I want to raise here, Marcus, is this isn't just wishy-washy marketing advice that's just sort of like off-the-shelf stuff that might work, it might not. Like, it categorically works. And Fountain Partnership, which of course is a business that you co-founded, Marcus, can really help. Can really help huge growth. So do shameless plug for Fountain Partnership. You work there.
Yeah. Thank you for the plug. Can I just say something? So we might be going, well, hold on a second, you're talking about sales, not marketing. Well, what's going on here? So those 3 pillars, each stage of the funnel, marketing can take ownership for. So yeah, of course, we're not really the salespeople on the phone, but we can do email lead nurturing. We can take first-party data of their email addresses when they're in the pipeline, these prospects, and we can follow them around with videos, with banner ads, with anything across wherever their attention is online, and it's going to be in front of these devices. We can follow them with really good content that overcomes objections and help the sales team increase conversion rate. We can market to the existing customers all the time with timely, relevant, useful information that helps them spend more money. Exactly, right message, right person, right time. We can help them become raving fans and advocates. But where everyone goes wrong with marketing, this is so important, Chris, is they just focus on the first bit. They focus on lead gen and they stop. Once the lead's in the pipeline, they don't give a shit about the existing customers. They don't care about the sales team. That's where Fountain has basically done better. That's all we've done. It's not magic, but I think marketers, the problem is they look up the funnel, right? They read Marketing Week, they listen to Mark Ritz, and they look at building brand. And building brand is an important part of it, don't get me wrong, because that helps increase conversion rate throughout the funnel. But it's very arse about face. It's very slow and soft. And it's basically, they put too much money top of the funnel and not enough at the bottom. And the argument is, well, there's 95% of people aren't in market right now, so let's let them know you exist. Fine. But 5% of them do, and they're in your pipeline. Unless you've really got a very tight sequence to sell the next step, and that's another principle. Marketing's about selling the next step. You need to own the entire pipeline, and by doing that, you can get the compound effect. So you're probably thinking, yeah, like that's the thing I want to get clear to people. Like, marketing isn't just about brand and lead gen; it's about owning the bottom half of it and just revenue generation across the full funnel. If you get your marketing teams doing that, that's how you get the mad growth. If you don't, then you're only going to get lopsided growth at best.
I couldn't agree more, Marcus. And that's exactly why when we here at Reeve Social Media, when we onboard a client, even before that, actually, we're saying, well, what about SEO? What about PPC? How's your email marketing? What about your brand? Like, all of that stuff. So, I totally agree with you. And so many, and it sounds almost like an own goal, me almost admitting that on a live stream when we're an organic social media agency. But I think it's so important to be honest and say that, like, it's all very well and good spending money with us, but think about the things lower down in the digital marketing funnel too. Marcus, you've said there, you've led me on to our final question. Actually, businesses spend too much on lead gen was one of your key mistakes. Do you perhaps have one more key mistake that you see time after time after time?
I don't mean to brand people, but yeah, I think a lot of money is wasted at the top of the funnel and not put at the bottom. I think that's it. I think that's the main thing. I think the problem is most marketers work by analogy rather than first principles. So they look at what everyone else does and go, well, I'm putting 60% in brand and 40% in performance, or they call it sales activation, whatever. But I think you've got to look at the split that's right for you. So with the estate agents, we put like 95, 98% in sales activation, in performance, in Google ad to lead. So it's not this lead gen, but like other estate agents would go, well, let's put the name of our estate agent on the side of buses and on billboards. And that's fine over a long period of time if you've got 10, 15 years to sit around and get into people's subconscious. But these guys want to grow quickly and take market share. So I think the thing is just the mistake is probably putting too much at the top of the funnel. And then if you are doing digital, another mistake is, not looking at fraudulent clicks and looking at ad fraud prevention. Yeah, those are the main ones, to be honest. And then just ignoring things like website conversion rate, like just not getting out a bloody spreadsheet, Chris, and being accountable for where your money's going. I think that's the big message I'm trying to get across.
Marcus, we're going to have to do a round 2 and probably a round 3 and 4, to be honest with you, because you're just an everlasting fountain, pardon the pun, of marketing advice. Thank you. Thank you for your time today, my friend, and I appreciate you welcoming us into your lounge.
It's a very royal lounge with lots of people in it. But yeah, okay.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, and thank you so much to everyone that's watched and listened back to this. Let us know what you thought about this conversation. Let us know. Post on social media, tag us, get in touch with Marcus, ask us questions. We'll happily get back to you. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. And as always, massive thanks to our charity partner, 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀, who help local people affected by cancer. Have a lovely day.